Eddie Cochran was a true rock and roll legend. He burst onto the scene in the late 1950s with hits like Summertime Blues and Come On Everybody. Tragically, he would die at the young age of 21. Eddie Cochran, death by taxi. On April 17, 1960, Cochran was traveling with his girlfriend Sharon Sheely and fellow musician Gene Vincent when their taxi was involved in a serious accident in Chippenham, Wiltshire, England. The crash resulted in severe injuries for all three individuals, with Cochran succumbing to his wounds a day later on April 18th. Dottie West was an American country music singer, songwriter, and country music pioneer. She was one of the first female country artists to produce her own records and write her own songs. Dottie West, death by neighbor. On August 30, 1991, Dottie West was late for a performance at the Grand Ole Opry. Her vehicle stalled, so she flagged down a passing driver, who just happened to be her neighbor George Thaxton, who offered to drive her to the Opry. However, while taking the Opryland Highway exit ramp, Thaxton lost control of the car, which went airborne and struck an embankment. Reports indicated that Thaxton had taken the 25-mile-per-hour exit ramp at an estimated 55 miles per hour. Dottie West would later succumb to her injuries in the hospital. Lisu Lopez was an American singer, rapper, and dancer who rose to fame as a member of the popular R&B girl group TLC. Born in Philadelphia in 1971, Lopez had a distinctive style and powerful vocals that made her a standout performer. She also co-wrote many of the group's hit songs, including their smash hit Waterfalls. Lisu Lopez, death by lack of seatbelt. On April 25, 2002, Lopez was behind the wheel of a rented Mitsubishi Montero SUV in La Ceiba, Honduras. She swerved to avoid a truck, then an oncoming car, causing the vehicle to roll several times and hit two trees. Lopez and three others were ejected from the windows, and the SUV came to a halt in a roadside ditch. She died on the spot, not having worn a seatbelt. Tom Mix was a legendary American film actor and star of the early Western genre. These action-packed Westerns made him a major box office draw throughout the 1920s. Known for his daring stunts and charismatic screen presence, Mix appeared in over 300 films during the silent film era and the early talkies. Tom Mix, death by detour. On October 12, 1940, legendary actor and cowboy Tom Mix died in a car accident 18 miles south of Florence, Arizona. After visiting the Pima County Sheriff in Tucson, Mix was taking a detour when his car overturned, resulting in his tragic death at the age of 60. Jack Anglin was an American country music singer and songwriter who rose to prominence in the 1940s and 1950s as part of the country music duo the Anglin Brothers. Jack Anglin, death by funeral. Anglin and Patsy Cline were close friends, and he was devastated upon hearing the news of her untimely death in a plane crash just a few days earlier. Determined to pay his respects, Anglin set out to drive to the funeral, but sadly, he never made it. He died in a car crash en route to the funeral on March 8, 1963. He was 47 years old. Harry Chapin was an American singer-songwriter best known for his story songs that often chronicled the human condition. Born in 1942 in New York, Chapin gained fame in the 1970s with his iconic hit songs Taxi and Cats in the Cradle. Harry Chapin, death by trucker. On the afternoon of July 16, 1981, Chapin was driving on the Long Island Expressway en route to perform at a free benefit concert when his 1975 Volkswagen Rabbit was violently rear-ended by a semi-trailer. Chapin was taken by helicopter from the crash site to the nearby Nassau County Medical Center, where he would succumb to his injuries. He was only 38. Jessica Savage was a trailblazer, becoming one of the first women to anchor a major network news program in the United States. She was admired for her ability to tackle complex issues with poise and authority, making her a respected figure in the industry. Jessica Savage, death by canal. Tragically, on the evening of October 23, 1983, Savage and her companion, Martin Fishbein, were driving on a dark, winding road in New Hope, Pennsylvania, when their car veered off the road and plunged into a canal. This watery grave would claim both their lives. Ernie Kovacs was a true pioneer of television comedy. Kovacs had a unique and irreverent comedic style, blending slapstick, absurdist humor, and visual gags in a way that was way ahead of its time. Ernie Kovacs, death by power pole. In the early hours of January 13, 1962, Kovacs lost control of his Chevrolet Corvair station wagon, crashing into a power pole in West Los Angeles. He was ejected from the passenger side of the vehicle and succumbed almost immediately to chest and head injuries. Kovacs was 42 years old at the time of his untimely passing. Leon Brown Chu Berry was a pioneering jazz sax musician who made significant contributions to the development of bebop in the 1940s. Known for his virtuosic technique and melodic improvisation, Berry was a key figure in the transition from the swing era to the more complex and harmonically advanced bebop style. Leon Brown Chu Berry, death by impact. On October 27, 1941, while traveling on a highway in Conneaut, Ohio, Berry's car was involved in a head-on collision with another vehicle. The 33-year-old musician succumbed instantly to injuries sustained from the impact. Isadora Duncan was a true pioneer in the world of modern dance. She rejected the rigid and restrictive techniques of classical ballet, instead embracing a more natural, free-flowing style. Today, she is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in the history of modern dance. Isadora Duncan, death by scarf. On September 14, 1927, the acclaimed dancer Isadora Duncan met a tragic end in a bizarre traffic accident in Nice, France. While riding as a passenger in an Amilcar CGSS automobile, her lengthy, billowing, hand-painted silk scarf got caught in the wheel well, entwining with the open-spoked wheels and rear axle, which resulted in her being yanked from the vehicle and suffering a fatal neck injury. Nicholas Dingley, better known by his stage name Razzle, was an English musician who was the drummer of the Finnish glam rock band Hanoi Rocks from 1982 until his untimely passing. Razzle, death by beer run. On December 8th, Hanoi Rocks band members were partying with Motley Crue at lead singer Vince Neil's house. The party stopped when everybody noticed they were out of beer. Neil and Razzle, both intoxicated, went to a nearby liquor store in Neil's Di Tommaso Pantera, with Neil driving. On the way back, they crashed into another car. Razzle died instantly in the collision. Pelle Lindbergh was a Swedish professional ice hockey goaltender who played in the National Hockey League, NHL, for the Philadelphia Flyers. His career was tragically cut short when he died in a car accident at the age of 26. Pelle Lindbergh, death by wall. Pelle Lindbergh, the esteemed goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers, passed away on November 11, 1985, following a tragic accident where he lost control of his Porsche 930 Turbo and collided with a wall. This occurred just 5 months after he had guided the Flyers to the Stanley Cup final and had been awarded the Vezina Trophy, recognizing him as the league's top goalie. Steve Prefontaine was an American long-distance runner who competed in the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, West Germany. He held the American records in 7 track events and is considered one of the greatest American distance runners of all time. Steve Prefontaine, death by drinking. In the world of sports, there are few stories as heartbreaking as the untimely passing of Steve Prefontaine, the legendary American long-distance runner. On May 29, 1975, after leaving a party with friends, Prefontaine's life was cut short at the young age of 24 when he was involved in a fatal car accident near his home in Eugene, Oregon. Police determined his blood alcohol content was 2 times over the legal limit. Ryan Dunn was an American stunt performer, television personality, and actor best known as a member of the Jackass crew. Dunn's fearless and comedic personality made him a fan favorite on Jackass. Ryan Dunn, death by speed. On June 20, 2011, Ryan Dunn and Zachary Hartwell, a production assistant on Jackass No. 2, were driving back from Barnaby's, a bar in Westchester, in Dunn's Porsche GT3. Dunn lost control of the vehicle, veered off the road, and hit a tree, causing the Porsche to burst into flames in West Goshen Township, Chester County, Pennsylvania. Both Dunn, who had just turned 34 9 days earlier, and Hartwell, who was 30, perished in the accident. Johnny Horton got his start in the 1950s and quickly made a name for himself with hits like The Battle of New Orleans and North to Alaska. He had this way of taking historical events and turning them into these epic, larger-than-life tunes. His songs had this awesome mix of storytelling and catchy melodies that just made you want to sing along. Johnny Horton, death by collision. On November 5, 1960, Horton, along with band members Tommy Tomlinson and Tillman Franks, were en route from the Skyline Club in Austin, Texas, to Shreveport. Their vehicle collided head-on with a truck on a bridge near Milano in Milam County, Texas. Sadly, Horton succumbed to his injuries while being transported to the hospital. Tomlinson sustained serious injuries resulting in the amputation of his leg, and Franks incurred head injuries. Tragically, Johnny Horton was gone at the age of 35. Tim Horton, a Canadian professional ice hockey player, had a distinguished career in the National Hockey League, NHL, from 1949 until 1974. He spent the majority of his career playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, later playing with the New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Buffalo Sabres. In 2017, he was posthumously recognized as one of the 100 greatest NHL players. Beyond his notable achievements on the ice, Horton is also celebrated for establishing the beloved Canadian coffee and donut franchise, Tim Hortons. Tim Horton, death by tiredness. Horton died in St. Catharines, Ontario, in the early morning of February 21, 1974, after losing control of his De Tomaso Pantera sports car on the Queen Elizabeth Way. The night before, he had participated in a game in Toronto against his old team, the Maple Leafs. He was traveling solo to Buffalo, which is 99 miles south, after the game. Although the Sabres were defeated and Horton had to sit out the third period due to a jaw and ankle injury, he was still named one of the game's top 3 stars. In the world of rock and metal music, the name Cozy Powell is one that commands respect and admiration. Powell was an English drummer who had a prolific career spanning several decades. Known for his powerful and dynamic drumming style, Powell played with a number of renowned rock and metal bands throughout his career, including Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and Whitesnake. Cozy Powell, death by booze and speed. On April 5, 1998, Powell was driving his Saab 9000 on the M4 motorway in Gloucestershire, England, when he lost control of the car at high speed. The vehicle veered off the road and collided with a bridge support. Powell died instantly. He was only 50 years old. The police later found that his blood alcohol level exceeded the legal limit. Steve Allen was an American television and radio personality, comedian, musician, composer, writer, and actor. He became nationally recognized in 1954 as the co-creator and first host of The Tonight Show, pioneering the late-night television talk show format. Steve Allen, death by delay. On October 30, 2000, Allen was involved in a minor traffic crash while traveling to visit his youngest son at home in Los Angeles. A driver struck the side of Allen's car while backing out of a driveway, causing Allen to unknowingly suffer a ruptured blood vessel. He did not realize he was seriously hurt. After Alan arrived at his son's home, he took a nap and died in his sleep. Just wanted to thank you for watching to the end, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next one. We've got some wild stuff coming up. You won't want to skip out on our next video, the top 10 list of the craziest celebrity stalkers. Trust me, you've got to see it to believe it. Just tap that notification bell and you'll be the first to know when the new vid drops.